The roof was ready to blow off a Paycom, and then the next moment, it was as quiet as a church mouse from
Yeah.
like one of the plays that San Antonio made. And you could just feel the emotion of the crowd riding along the roller coaster ride with what was happening.
Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is Thunder Breakdown, brought to you by the Oklahoma State Treasurer's Unclaimed Property Division.
Hey, what's up? It's time for another Thunder Breakdown here on Oklahoma's Own Sports. My name is Jeremie Poplin. That is Steve McGehee. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. We got a lot to get into after game number 1 of the Western Conference Finals last night. By the way, if you missed our preview special, please go to news9.com or news16.com, depending on where you're at here in the state, and check out all the hard work that our team did to put that special together for you before game number 1. And right here off the top, need to say shouts out to the Oklahoma Treasurer Unclaimed Property Division as well, our sponsor with the Thunder Breakdown moving forward here through the entirety of the playoffs. All right, Steve, let's just cut right to the chase. What is your panic level, or should Thunder fans' panic level be right now after game 1 result?
There's got to be some concern here. Some concern. The Thunder did not play their best game. Did the Spurs play their best game? I'm sure today they're looking over the film, talking to the media, saying, hey, we can be better in places as well. And Thunder saying the same thing, just coming back from practice. You know, there was some things they can clean up, some coverages they can do better when it comes to Wemby and Castle. And Dylan Harper, that really didn't play like a rookie. He should be starting. That'll be interesting to see how they handle him. Not this year, but down the road, next year and beyond. But he is definitely a starter. He's not a sixth man. He should be in the starting role for the Spurs. But there was so much from last night's game. It was just like the notes I took were just like 12 pages long. It was just key buckets, key misses. I thought the Thunder were going to win this game in the first overtime. The Thunder were going to steal a game because Spurs controlled this one. I think they led for 93% of the game, and Oklahoma City really couldn't get a grasp on it until late in the fourth quarter. So if Thunder fans missed the first 43 minutes of the game, you're okay. You wanted to watch the last 5 minutes of the game because that's when it got really interesting. Shea was more aggressive in the second half compared to, I think, just 4 points in the first half, and obviously he knew he could play better, and he's going to have to play better if they want to tie the series up at 1 going to San Antonio. But so many things. But San Antonio, I think they're better than Indiana last year. I think they're better than the Nuggets last year, and I say that because Oklahoma City was in an 0-1 hole after game 1 in those series. So Thunder fans, some panic, but this team has a way to bounce back. But opponent-wise, as I said, I think this is better than the Pacers and the Nuggets.
You know what stood out to me after last night, and it mainly kind of hit me this morning, was, one, you have a game between 62 game winners, first time since 98, right? That stat that was out there. But how many times have we talked about this in the sports world where we hype up a game and it never lives up to the expectations? It blew the roof off of expectations last night from just a basketball standpoint. And here's my favorite thing about it. You wake up this morning and there's not the overhang with anything related to the refs last night at all. It was quiet. It was calm. It was so refreshing to have the two best teams in the league go at each other and not have that be a storyline from some boneheaded mistake that happened because of officiating last night.
Yeah, early on, though, the whistle did not favor Oklahoma City in this game. And, credit, you got to make your free throws in the playoffs, especially in the finals of a conference. And I think the Thunder missed 3 free throws, and I think the Spurs were 27 out of 29. You missed one of those free throws, the Spurs, you got a different outcome probably. So that's why it's so important to make your free throws. But the foul stuff and all that, I'm not sure. What do you think about the Wemby just kind of plowing into Caruso? I could see that coming from almost a mile away. I'm like, uh-oh. And he just kind of put his shoulder down and went at him. I don't think it was an aggressive move, but he just, maybe Caruso frustrated him a little bit for him to do something like that. But, you can injure your shoulder. You can injure Caruso that way. But it wasn't intentional, I don't think. And they didn't make it intentional. So, but it got physical there in the second half, and they kind of let them play it out a little bit.
Well, that's what I appreciate about it, right? It's like, let's be honest, San Antonio was built right to attack the Thunder specifically. And we've seen various iterations of this in the NBA. That's why, to me, like the Minnesota-Denver series was one that, to me, was close because Minnesota was kind of structured to build the Nuggets from 2 years ago, right, when they won the championship. And now you start to see these franchises that are like, all right, who do we have to attack? San Antonio was built to try to attack Oklahoma City. Let that physical nature play out. That's what Oklahoma City hangs their hat on defense, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, let's see them go. And now I say that Wednesday night will be called completely differently, and we'll have that will be a storyline from a new crew that comes in.
It's a tough matchup for any team in the NBA when you got a 7'3", 7'4", 7'5" guy that can dribble, shoot threes, block shots, be a menace around the rim. And I'm a big fan of the 7-footers. I'm glad they're coming back into the league. You know, for a few years ago, it was like 6'8", 6'9", hurry up and get down the floor. Yeah. But now with Victor out there, that changes everything. And so teams are looking for the next Victor. I don't know if he's out there. I don't think he is, but maybe there is someone out there they can kind of mold to help slow this guy down in the future, because the Thunder, they're going to be seeing this guy for quite a bit. So I'm not sure what they're going to do in the summer. But the officiating, it's going to be a different crew. They're going to call it differently probably, and that's just part of the game for the coaches. You have to, kind of scout the referees. I think we talked about this before, to see how they're going to let you play or be more physical. And for the Thunder, they got to be more physical, especially with Wemby. You don't intentionally hurt him, but show a presence there. Show a presence. Don't let him run you over. Do something about it. And, but he was incredible last night. I think 49 minutes he played. 49 minutes, 41 points.
Wealth is represented by this statute. Is there something I can help you with?
I'm sorry, you mentioning wealth just reminded me that I have wealth waiting for me.
Oh.
It's super easy. Visit yourmoney.ok.gov, enter your name, and find out if you have any lost money.
Oh, it's from the Oklahoma State Treasurer.
Sure is. Wow, I have over $100 waiting for me.
My dad has some.
We do too.
Go to yourmoney.ok.gov today to see if you have unclaimed cash.
I think you can make the argument they knew how important game one was with the number of minutes, right? That crew that typically doesn't play that much. Now they're without De'Aaron Fox as well. Okay. So we need to make sure that we point that out.
Yeah. 49 minutes he played.
Yeah. And so I think like you could tell, like we're in this, we need to make sure that we're finishing this one off. Can they play that number of minutes out the entirety of the series? I don't know. It just depends on whether De'Aaron comes back or not. He's at least projected to be available for game two. That's a storyline though for sure, because it felt like OKC had already played a rotation of 11 guys by the time we got to the second quarter.
Yeah, Mark was tinkering with the lineup. I was hoping to see more of Kendrick Williams, because the last time they played the Spurs down in San Antonio, Kendrick Williams was a big factor in the game. And Isaiah Joe barely got in there. They went with McCain instead of Joe, maybe because of defense. I think that may change in game two. Well, Mark is not afraid to push the buttons. Sometimes it's the wrong move, but I'm not the head coach. I trust whatever. I trust whatever he decides to do, but they do have Isaiah Joe there to potentially knock down some threes. And, at first half, if they didn't have Alex Caruso and those three-pointers, they would have been down by 15, 20 points at halftime. So Caruso kept them in the game in the first half, and then they adjusted in the second half. But can you imagine 7 games going down to the wire like this?
Oh my gosh.
If I'm the Knicks and Cavs, I'm like, keep playing. Play 8 games, play 9, wear out. It's just
exactly.
I think
that not just the length, Steve, but like the emotional toll that was happening. Like the roller coaster. Paycom it felt like through the TV broadcast anyway. I'll be in the house for game 2, so if it's the same way, I can't wait to experience it. But game 1 felt like the roof was ready to blow off of Paycom, and then the next moment, it was as quiet as a church mouse, right? From like one of the plays that San Antonio made, and you could just feel the emotion of the crowd riding along the roller coaster ride with what was happening.
Yeah, that crowd got louder as the game went on, as it got more intense, and that crowd the roof would have gone off had AJ Mitchell hit that three in the first overtime. That's where I thought Oklahoma City, I'm like, they're going to come back and they're going to win this game. They had the momentum, but AJ early in the shot clock comes down after a steal, misses the three, and then Wemby makes the 27, 28-footer, the Steph Curry type three. But then they still had a chance to win it, but Dub missed the shot. So, if AJ makes that shot or Dub makes that three at the buzzer, we're talking about, hey, the Thunder survive and hang on. But I think this is the way this. What's that?
I was going to say, do you have an issue with AJ shooting that shot there? Would you have
a little bit?
advised?
Had the camera and I'm like, oh, great. And then I'm like, hurry up and shot it. I'm like, I think he could have probably dribbled past his guy. And Chet was down there. I think it was Castle. And so either go up top to, make Castle either come to you or you go up top to Chet. So, but I'm sure he's looking at that and going, maybe next time I will think twice about shooting. But if the ball goes in, hey, it's AJ Mitchell. What a great player. So, I'm not going to scold AJ for doing that. I was just kind of surprised early in the shot clock that he took that shot. But he was open. So
AJ had a quiet night last night. I do want to go back to Caruso. 31 points. By the way, most points off the bench in a conference final since Tyler Hero in the bubble in 2020. But we've seen maybe not to that level before with Caruso in 8 threes that he hit. But would you be surprised at all if by the time Wednesday night is over, you look up and it's like Kendrick Williams has a game like this, Isaiah Joe has a game like this, like Cason Wallace has something like this. It's just Lou Dort has the potential to have a big night as well shooting. When they've needed other players to step up, they've had that in the past, and Caruso kind of continues on with that tradition from last night. It was just otherworldly. He was NBA jamming it on fire last night.
Yeah, boom shakalaka. Yeah, he was he kept him in he kept him in the game in the first half, and I just kind of hope his effort and desire and his passion to win meaningful games spreads throughout the team. It should entice them to play better, and maybe that did in the second half coming out of the locker room, because they did feel like they played with a sense of, as they say, a sense of urgency and a desire to come back and try to win this game. Lou Dort, 1 out of 5. He's had a game against the Spurs where he's had 5 threes. So I'd be surprised if Isaiah Joe, maybe there's something wrong with Isaiah that we don't know about, but Isaiah Joe should get some playing time in game 2. And I would like to see Kendrick Williams, though, too, because he's a bulldog. He's a fighter down there. He's a good defender. He can knock down some threes as well. So they have some options. And at this point, you got to look at all options. And, you don't want to go to Texas down 0-2. It's not, and it's something I'm not going to say if they go down 0-2, they're going to lose, in 5 or 4, but it's not an ideal situation. So you got to try some different things again. But I think Oklahoma City, they saw some bad turnovers looking at the tape. They had some passes. Dylan Harper, he finished with 7 steals in the game. They got to be careful with those passes. They got to look. They're going to look at that game tape, and I'm sure they have, and kind of shaking their head, going, "Man, we should have done this and gone up top, or we should have passed it one more time." So, and again, San Antonio's thinking the same thing. They were going. There are points that we gave away against the Thunder. So, it's a chess match right now. One team zigs, the other team zags. Luckily for Peacock, they get, I think, the best conference finals compared to the Knicks and Cavaliers, because I think there's probably a good chance all these games are going to be down to the last 3 or 4 minutes, unless something happens, unless some other team, the Spurs or Thunder, go ice cold and just can't make a shot.
As I said earlier, it depends on De'Aaron Fox. And I from the San Antonio's perspective, right, you look at Castle and the turnovers that he had, like 11 assists, but also 11 turnovers that go. Like, if he has to be the primary ball handler in those moments late like he was, that gives Oklahoma City a little bit more information, like, hey, we can play more physical with this guy because he has the ability to give you the ball and to turn it over in these. And he felt like at times he was trying to do too much. And that's saying a lot considering that he had a pretty remarkable game, but you just take away those 11 turnovers.
Yeah, Castle is the better defender compared to Fox, but Fox, I think, is maybe the better shooter. So that's something they have to decide there. But Thunder defensively, Mark said last night that they played well enough on defense to win the game. The issues for them were on offense.
Yeah, so in terms of defensively, it was, 3 or 4 minutes into the game, and it was Caruso, coming in for iHeart, and he was at times the primary defender, right, on Wembanyama. They've used that before. A lot of guys have tried to guard Wembanyama for Oklahoma City. I know you look at the box score and you see like Caruso, I think only was credited with two turnovers, but he was poking the ball away. There's only so much that you can do with a 7'5" guy if you're Alex Caruso. But in terms of just grit and toughness and fight, he showed signs to me that we had moments of success against him in an incredibly difficult role we're asking you to play right now.
Yeah, he thrives on that role though. He didn't last year against Jokic. Didn't he have a part of that along with Jay Will as well? So he loves that role. But when they throw it up high, there's not much you can do about it. They had one up high that just went over J-Dub's fingertips, and then Wemby just kind of throws it in. I think that was the first or second overtime, but it all blends in together. But I just love Caruso's like the best playoff player any team could ever imagine. It's just he puts forth the effort. Will he knock down those threes like he did in game 1 and game 2? We'll see. But I know defensively the effort's going to be there, and he's going to create problems for the Spurs. Just a perfect player. They need more than Caruso, though.
I do want to talk about Chet Holmgren here in 1 second, Steve. But before that, J-Dub makes his return. What was your takeaway from his first game back in what feels like forever?
Yeah, that poor guy. This has been a year to forget for him. I feel bad for him. Hopefully better days ahead for him. He's gone through enough injuries in this season. But you kind of forget that he was hurt. Coming back from a hamstring for the third time. I thought he looked pretty good. There's a tall guy there from France that creates a lot of havoc. So you got to change up your shot trajectory quite a bit. But shooting wise was 11 out of 25. I'm sure he'd like to have some of those knocked down. And of course, if he knocks them down, they may have a different outcome. But, he played 37 minutes. Maybe that's probably more than the team wanted him to play, but this is a pressure cooker. There is no tomorrow. You need to win these games. But I thought he was fine. He played good defense. It's just he kind of forgot that he was dealing with a hamstring, to be honest.
Now, Chet had that one block on Wemby at was that the end of regulation or one of the end of overtimes? It's all running together right now. But 8 and 8.
The end of regulation, I think. But
okay.
A lot happened last night.
Yeah, there's so much that happened, I know. But 8 and 8, like you're just going to need more out of that guy at the end of the day. And I wonder what type of bounce back game that he could potentially have in game number 2, but you're clearly going to need more output from him.
Yeah, 8 points in 41 minutes of play. That's not going to cut it. And he's, NBA All-Star this year. He's got to play like it. He can play better. He knows he can play better, and he's going to have to play better if they want to advance past this solid basketball team in the San Antonio Spurs. But I don't know if he has the footwork to guard Wemby all the time. That's why you have Caruso and others, that can stay in front of Wemby.
Yeah.
But Chet at times just looked like he was overwhelmed. Even, there was a bucket there where Dylan Harper was underneath the basket with him, a couple of pump fakes, and he just 2 points right over Chet. And it's like, man, that he got to block that shot. But, I'm sure there's not much about that game last night that he loved, maybe 20% of it. So I would imagine he's going to come in fired up. He knocked down some threes, 2 out of 7? No, not 2 out of 7, 2 out of 4, sub 50%, not bad. But Yeah, 8 points in 41 minutes of play. He was a non-factor offensively. Maybe that's some of the offense that Mark needs to work on. We got to be better on offense. And if Chet's one of your so-called big three, you need more than 8 points. I expect better from him.
There's no doubt. Before we run, give me a couple of keys for OKC to tie this one up.
They created a bunch of, they forced a lot of San Antonio, 23 turnovers, and he still win the game. They got to keep that defensive pressure on him. Wemby's going to be Wemby. There's not much, you can address that problem in the offseason or maybe the next season or whatever to try to defend this guy. But, there's also 28 other NBA teams trying to figure out the same thing. Make your threes. Caruso did. Make your free throws. They did that for the most part. Maybe not foul so much. San Antonio went to the line a whole bunch. To be careful with that and just be mindful of Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper can put the ball in the basket. He can be at the top of the key. Next thing you know, he's laying it up for a bucket. But they were maybe just a little step behind last night on some plays. And every possession is magnified when it comes to the Western Conference Finals. But they can be better. But I would like for them, in my mind, it's just better three-point shooting because Wemby's going to, create problems underneath the basket. It's going to be hard to score on them, score over them, score under them. But they got to be able to knock down some threes. And they did, they get themselves back into the game late. But Shea's got to be more aggressive as well. And he was in the second half. A 4-point first half isn't going to cut it against the Spurs. And, watch out. Here comes De'Aaron Fox now. So another scoring weapon for San Antonio. And the last time, Christmas Day, Fox was on fire for San Antonio. So he's very capable of taking over a game all by himself. So Oklahoma City has their hands full with the Spurs, but it can be accomplished. They can get the win here on game 2 Wednesday night. They just got to play, not a perfect game, but they got to play a little bit better than what they did in game 1. The second half was good. I think they ran out of gas in that second overtime. I don't know what you think about that, but it seems like the legs were tired in that second OT.
It felt like when those couple of potential knockout blows didn't work and San Antonio had an immediate answer that you could see kind of at that point in time that the tired legs kind of hit at that point from Oklahoma City for sure.
Yeah.
There in the overtime period. Steve, great stuff, man. Appreciate you. This series is the games itself, not the outcome that everyone wanted, obviously, but elite level basketball that we talked about. And we get to kind of live in that, and hopefully game 2 lives up to as much hype as what game 1 did. Appreciate you, sir. And we'll see all of you next time here on Oklahoma's Own Sports with another Thunder Breakdown, and we'll do that by the end of the week.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma's Own digital studio stream. Stay with News 9, online and on television, anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.